What we're gonna do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. I'm gonna be going through, actually, let's start on time value money. So we're gonna start on this problem right here. For this one, I'm gonna have you guys do it, go through. I'll give you guys a few minutes to work on it on your own, all 5 of the problems, and then we'll go through it. And then from there, each question, I'll give you guys a few minutes to look it over, try it out, see what you can figure out. I'm not expecting you to know the full answer because we haven't gone through it in class, but then we'll go through it together so you can kind of see it again before you see it in class. So that's going to be the goal today. So first thing is there are 5 different time value money problems, and each one you can see is solving for a different value. And so for example, if you look up to the future value top left, you see that you're given a bunch of different information. And all right, so, and you're trying to solve for future value. So another thing that you might notice is there's 2 empty boxes right here. Those empty boxes means you must make adjustments in some way. So so we have periods per year. So if you have periods per year and it's 12 periods per year, in the chat, what can you assume is the units for your N per? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? What do you guys think? Yeah, perfect. So great. So yes, monthly. So if you see 12 periods per year, that means monthly. So for rate and your N per, you must make adjustments so if this is 6 years, you must make adjustments to make it monthly, and you also must make adjustments here. So again, give it your shot on all 5 of them. I'll give you guys like 10 minutes to work on it. Don't be mad if you can't get it. I'm not expecting you to know it all. It's only the first week of this segment, so give it your best. I'll give you guys 10 minutes to work on all of them. Just open up an Excel sheet and then we will go through them. So we're gonna look at the top left first. That is your future value. So you guys can follow along as I go, fill it in if you haven't on your sheet, and we'll go through it together. So for this one, like we just said, rate must be adjusted to your periods. So to do that, click in this cell and I do equals, I click my 10% and divide that by 12. Actually, you can divide that by that cell. Perfect. So you end up with 0.83%. Now I know professor told us that it has to be in decimal form, and it must be in decimal form because if you're to just enter 83 or 0.83 even without the percentage next to it, it would be totally wrong. Now Excel is very smart. If you leave it as 0.83 with the percentage sign, then it knows that when it calculates, it's really 0.0083. So it's up to you. If you want to leave the percentage in, you have to put the percentage sign. If not, then change it to decimal. But you can't just leave it as 10 or 0.83 without the percentage sign. All right. So that is one thing. And so now if we look at your N, like we also just said, that you must multiply your N by your amount of periods because it has to be 12 periods per year for your 6 years. So to do that, I click on my 6 and I multiply it by this cell and you end up with 72. So that's your amount of periods. So to solve future value, all you have to do is your FV And again, remember it tells you everything to put in. So you have your rate, so click rate, and then your number of periods, your payment, your present value, and press enter. So you should end up with 243,205. So that is for future value. Now we can quickly go through, actually maybe we'll just go through one or two of them, and I'll leave you guys the rest of them to practice on your own since you guys seem to be pretty good at this, and I want to make sure we get through all the other stuff. So, and as I'm going, if you guys have questions on this stuff, put it right in the chat. So let's look at rate. So to do rate, we see that I put this box here again. Just a hint for you guys while you're still practicing, that if you have your periods in monthly, so for example, in a word problem, it could say monthly payments of $300, and that's over a span of 6 years. So that means you must adjust your 6 years to, match your monthly payments. So it's just like the one we just did. You take your 6 and multiply it by your 12, and you end up with 72. So once you have that, then you're finding rate. Now, we'll find rate first. So find rate, and you have your number of periods, your payments, present value. Oh, that is not present value. Your present value, and then your future value. So when you find this rate, since we found periods, this is your monthly periods. So that means that this rate that we found was monthly as well. So when you find rate as monthly, you might be asked to find it annually. So this is something that we practiced last week in sessions, using this equation that I have noted to the side of how you change a non-annual rate to annual. So that's just taking your 1 plus your rate times, or to the power of the number of periods, which is your 12, minus 1. So you should end up with a rate of 10.21%. See on the test. And I know, at least from my experience as an SI last semester, students did have some issue with these. So this is a big one that I wanted to cover as well. So with discount and cash flow, I'm going to kind of work through it, and I want you guys to pull up an Excel sheet and follow along at these numbers, kind of see what I'm doing. So then when you're looking at it afterwards, you see what I'm doing, and it's not like you're like forget the steps. So follow along. It does help when you do it at the same time as I do. So actually, why don't I give you guys like 3 minutes, copy, write this part in an Excel sheet, and give me a thumbs up when you've got all these numbers in it. So thank you for letting me know you got this. So we're gonna go through this, and again, follow along on your computer, see what I'm doing. So then when you're going through it on your own, doing practice problems for homework, any of that, you know what to do and you actually understand what to do rather than just kind of memorizing stuff. I promise it helps. So the first thing that you have to do for this problem is find your DCF. Now, the thing about discounted cash flows is that there's a few parts to it. As you see, I also have IRR and NPV. Now, NPV you've seen before, that's your net present value. And your IRR is your required rate, your return. So the first thing that we're going to do is find the DCF. Now, to do this, what you have to do is you type equals, and then you type NPV, so your net present value. And then again, it like populates and it tells you what to put in. So it tells you your discount. So that's your rate that you have to put in. And so you click this cell Now, again, remember it has a percentage sign next to it, so Excel knows that it's actually 0.062. If you didn't have the percentage, it would say it's 6.2, which is wrong. So make sure you get that right. Now, the second thing that you have to do, it says your cash flow. So your cash flows are year 1 all the way to year 9, excluding your initial investment. So you don't include that in your calculation for this part. So you take year 1 and you can drag all the way down to year 9. So you end up with your DCF of 3,489,715. All right, so then the next thing that you have to do is your NPV, your net present value, that takes into account your initial investment. So for this one, all you have to do is you click your discounted cash flow, the number that you just calculated, and you add, so addition, your initial investment. So you add that in. And you end up with a net present value of 1,864,617. And then the last thing that you have to do is you just find your IRR. So that's your required rate of return for this amount of money. So you do equals IRR tab, and then you just enter your cash flow amount. So for this one, you do include your initial investments. So you just drag all the way down. So initial all the way to year 9, and you press enter. And you end up with an IRR of 20.62%. So pretty simple, just the little things that, make sure when you calculate DCF, it excludes your initial investment. When you calculate your NPV, it's your DCF plus your initial. And when you calculate IRR, it does include your initial investment. So just the little things, but it's pretty simple, and Excel tells you everything to put in. So it doesn't make it too difficult. You don't have to copy the numbers down right now if you don't want to. I will be sending this after so you guys can use it. So we're going to be looking at the same thing and just quickly going through it. So you have your rate up here, and that's your 12%. And you have your cash flows. So you see that your initial investment is your $1 million. It's negative because that's what you first put down. And then you see that year 1 doesn't have any revenue. It's just nothing. You just made all your money back, and that's it. And then going forward, you see all your different cash flows, and you end up at year 10. You made so much more money and you're doing great. So that's what you see for year 10. Now, going from here, it's the same thing in what we just did. So for your discounted cash flow, first thing you're going to do is you're going to do equals NPV. You're going to click discount. So you guys see right here, it says click discount, and even below it says example, and it shows that's your percentage. So you just click your 12%, and then comma, and then your cash flow. Now, even for this one, you include year 1 because it's still a year, you just didn't make any money, right? So you end up with 6,200,319. And then the next thing that you do is I just broke it down a little bit more from the last one. I wrote out initial investment so you guys can see it better for your NPV. So if you just do equals and click this, it's super easy. So you're not retyping anything. That was something that I showed last week. By clicking and referencing each cell, if you have a homework problem that's the same numbers, and let's say you have a different initial investment of, here, I'll solve NPV first. So before I show you why it's good to click cells, let's finish this. So NPV, that's your discounted cash flow plus your initial investment. So the reason why it's good to just reference cells is because let's say you have a homework problem, and instead of typing it all out over again, which is like kind of a pain, and resolving all of it, let's say you have a different initial investment of like 1,500,000. then everything automatically changes for you, all the numbers down here. So it's super easy. Even on time value money problems, it saves you so much time. And then the last thing that you have to do is find your IRR. And so for this one, that is equals IRR, and you do all of them. So it includes initial investment, and then it goes all the way down to the last year. And you end up with 37.38%. All right, so you guys good on this one? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Any questions? Go through this, and again, follow along. Follow along so you guys can kind of see what's happening, not just like kind of memorizing what to do. So some of this you will see is the same as time value money, and there are some different concepts, which I won't be going over all of them now, but you will be seeing some of this as we get more into bonds. So the first problem says you have purchased a bond that is a 10-year semi-annual bond, and it has a coupon rate of 6%. What is the correct price you should pay for the bond if the interest rates are 7%? So something new that you might already be able to pick apart is there's a new number that you might not have seen before. Now we have two percentages, and you are used to only one in time value money problems. So we'll break it down a little bit so you see what's going on. So you purchase a bond that is 10-year semi-annual. So you should know how to solve that. So that's an N of 10 years, but it's semi-annual. So you must make an adjustment to have it a semi-annual, which means in the span of a year, there are two different periods, so every 6 months. So there are two periods in a year for 10 years. So to make an adjustment for that, you have to take your 10 and multiply it by 2. So now you have 20 periods. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is it says you have a coupon rate of 6%. So coupon rate is something new that will be explained. I'm not going to go into detail right now, but will be explained when we get to bonds. But I just want to go through what you would do with the math when you do have a coupon rate. So a coupon rate is your payment essentially, but it's given to you as a percentage, and you have to find it as a dollar amount. And so the first thing that you have to do is adjust the 6% coupon rate to your semi-annual period. So that's still the same as you do with rate. That's not different. So the first thing that you do is you do 6% divided by 2. So you end up with 3%. And then what you do to get the dollar amount is so you have to multiply your coupon rate by the face value of the bond. So when you're working with bonds, the future value will always be 1,000. So always be 1,000. Remember that. And so what you're going to do for your payment is you're going to take your 3% and multiply it by your 1,000. And that's how you get your payment. Fine rate. So rate is just like time value money problems. You have to take your interest rate and adjust it for your time periods. So that's going to be your 7%, and you divide that by 2. So now you have a rate that is adjusted for your semi-annual period. And then the last thing that you just have to find is you're looking for the price that you should pay today. So you're looking for the value that it would be today. So that's your present value. So that's just equals PV, just like you always did. And then it tells you rate is first. So remember to click your adjusted rate, which is your 3.5, your number of periods, which is your adjusted, which is 20, your payment amount, which we found, which is 30, and your future value. So you end up with a present value of 928 and 94. Is you purchase a bond at $1,050 and it has a coupon payment of 8%. So it pays out annually for 5 years. So keyword annually. And you want to know, based off on the price you paid, what is the implied yield? So we have to write out everything we have and see what you're solving for. If you're not sure, good way to find it. Always write out. I always write out everything like this when I was in the class. Always do it like this. It kind of helps see what you have, what you don't have, and eliminates mistakes. It really helps. So again, you have your future value of 1,000. So you can type that right in. You have your N of 5 years, and it says that it's annual, so you do not have to make any adjustments. So that's all it is. It happens a year for 5 years. Then you have your coupon payment of 8%. Now you have to find your payment amount in dollars. So coupon payment, that gives you a percentage, and you must find in dollars. That's different than your rate, your interest rate, or your yield. So make sure you keep those two separate. So for this one, you're just taking your 8% because you don't have to make any adjustments since it's annual, and you multiply that by your $1,000. So it's $80 in payments each year. And then you're given a present value of $1,050. So that's what you paid today. And you want to know, or if you were to buy that today, you want to know what your yield would be. So your yield is your rate. So to find your rate or your yield, that's just equals rate. How do I put this lower? Okay. And your number of periods, your payment per periods, your present value, and your future value. So you're left with a rate of 6.79%. So if you were to buy this bond today at that price with that amount in payments, that is what your yield would be. So that's how you solve